On the news tonight, federal government declares Friday and Monday public holiday. President-elect urges police to investigate the rerun election in Adamawa. Governor Adeleke reiterates commitments to the well-being of the people. While on the foreign scene, Switzerland files indictment against the Gambia former minister. Good evening, and we're glad to have you join us on the Major Report. I am Olubumi Ajiboye Agbola. The President-elect Asiwaju Bola Tinubu has urged police authorities to investigate the Adamawa State rerun governorship election due to its attendance controversy. Asiwaju Tinubu called on those aggrieved to pursue legitimate means of addressing their grievances as he welcomed the elected office holders to brace up to serve the people with diligence and dedication. Also, he encouraged them to join hands with him as their president-elect in the pursuit of an agenda to renew the hopes of the people. The president-elect, however, observed with satisfaction the largely peaceful atmosphere that pervaded the supplementary election, congratulating the winners of the supplementary governorship elections held in Kebbi and Adamawa states last Saturday, urging them to rededicate themselves to the service of their respective constituents. The dust raised by the controversial rerun governorship election conducted by the Independent National Electoral Commission in Adamawa State has finally settled as the election umpire announced Governor Ahmad Fintiri as the governor-elect and presented him with the certificate of return. Osbc report of the week examines the issues surrounding the rerun election and its implications on the democracy. Oluchi Amoda completes the story.
Finally heaved a sigh of relief following the conclusion of the supplementary election in Adamawa State. The incumbent Governor Umaru Fintiri of the People's Democratic Party, who polled a total of 430,861 votes, was declared the winner of the election by INEC as against his closest rival Aishatu Binani of the All Progressive Congress, who scored 398,788 votes. In his acceptance speech, Governor Fintiri described it as a triumph of democracy, as he appreciated Adamawa people for standing firm in the face of provocation. This was just as he thanked the electoral umpire INEC for not allowing the mandate of the people to be subverted. Reacting to this development, a legal practitioner, Mr. Hashim Abioye, stated that INEC merely corrected the mistake it made that should not have arisen in the first place.
INEC created the problem in the sense that the election of the governorship election in Adamawa State ought not to have been declared inconclusive in the first place.
It would be recalled that the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, conducted supplementary election in some parts of the country on the 15th of April, following the inability of the Commission to conclude elections in some states and constituencies to fill vacant positions in the governorship, National Assembly and State House of Assembly positions. Out of all the rerun elections held across the country, the governorship election in Adamawa State took the shine. The reason was not far-fetched. The INEC Resident Electoral Commissioner, Unisa Ari, stoked nationwide confusion when he declared Aishatu Binani of the All Progressive Congress APC governor-elect without disclosing official figures in line with the electoral process, and when results have not been fully collated. The INEC reg was also alleged to have sidelined the returning officer Mohammed Mele and announced the fake result. INEC suspended the collation of results in Adamawa rerun election and also slammed the suspension on the wreck, but Nigerians are yet to get over the confusion that ensued after the wreck wrongly declared the winner. Some legal practitioners, including Mr. Tunde Babashola and Mr. Abimbola Ige, as well as an election observer, Mr. Michael Ebonfi, described the situation as a height of impunity and totally uncalled for.
What is happening in Nigeria for now is impunity. There is impunity everywhere. People are just taking laws into their own hands. Probably because of, we now have a kind of something we can refer to now as an acronym. Where something happens now, the next thing you hear is go to court, go to court. And I think it is in the light of that the man also did that okay, if you are not satisfied with what I have done, even though I know what I'm doing is illegal, you can go to court.
It was not the duty of the REC to announce the election results. It's the duty of the returning officer. And that is where the problem lies. Even if Binani had won that election, the return made by the REC is not known to the Electoral Act.
If that should happen, meaning that we are in trouble in Nigeria, and that is another thing that INEC should really look into. It's unfortunate that should even happen at the first instance, when you have been having a process.
They maintain that the fact that an act emanated from a resident electoral commissioner who is also a lawyer made it more worrisome. While reacting to the suspension of the electoral process in Adamawa State, Mr. Ige faulted the process. According to him, the suspension has created a legal logjam which can only be determined by a court of competent jurisdiction.
Looking at it from the legal point of view, there's a lacuna. Once a return had been made, whether legally or illegally, it is the tribunal that has the power to set it aside. And that is where the problem lies. So, what happened in Adamawa has set in a legal logjam.
Speaking to the contrary, however, Mr. Abioye commended the judiciary for its role in ensuring that Nigeria's democracy is not jeopardized.
The judiciary has done very well in this regard. You will see that after the illegal declaration by the Adamawa REC, the candidate of the APC approached the Federal High Court by way of an ex parte application. But the court was up to the task by applying wisdom, asking that the other parties be put on note, or that the court be addressed on the issue of jurisdiction.
The respondents, however, agreed on the need to ensure that justice is fully served. They maintain that though the electoral body has suspended the REC and written to the Inspector General of Police, Osman Alkali Baba, for his arrest and prosecution, the matter should not be swept under the carpet.
That is an offense. That's an offense. And I believe INEC should act swiftly or really to charge him to court. He should be tried for that offense. That is impunity. If he's not charged to court and tried, it will serve as a bad precedent for others.
I want to believe that most of our leaders, including the electoral officers, they do not know the implication of what they did. If they knew, perhaps they would have prevented the occurrence of such activity.
It wasn't an error, it was a crime. What the REC now on suspension, what he did was a crime. And any such crime is punishable under the Electoral Act.
This, they noted, will serve as deterrence to others and save Nigeria's democracy. Oluchi Amuda, Osbc News.
Fund has said Nigeria's plan on whether to remove petrol subsidy or not remains a political and domestic decision. Speaking at the Sub-Saharan African Regional Economic Outlook press conference in Washington, the director, IMF's Africa Department, Abi Selassie, said Nigeria spends so much on petrol subsidy when much investment is needed to shore up health and educational sectors. Selassie said growth in Sub-Saharan Africa is expected to slow to 3.6% as a big funding squeeze tied to the drying up of aid and access to the region. This is the second consecutive year of an aggregate decline in SSA growth. He added that if no measures are taken The shortage of funding may force countries to reduce fiscal resources for critical developments like health, education, and infrastructure, holding the region back from developing its true potential. He called for consolidation of public finances and strengthening financial management containing inflation, allowing exchange rates to adjust. The Director General of the World Health Organization, Dr. Tedros Ghebreyesus, has called for joint action between communities and the health system to bring tuberculosis under control. Ghebreyesus made the call during a news conference in Washington as he noted that the 2030 Sustainable Development Goals, universal health coverage and primary health care agenda, with all recognized community empowerment as vital processes in helping to make tuberculosis a policy priority and to support the agency while launching the new flagship initiative to end tuberculosis. He said that nearly 40% of the 10.6 million people with tuberculosis were not receiving the health care services they needed, saying efforts to bring TB under control have been hampered by the COVID-19 pandemic and conflicts in Europe, Africa, and the Middle East. Osun State Governor Senator Ademola Adeleke has reiterated commitment towards ensuring the overall well-being of the people of the state. Governor Adeleke gave the assurance at the grand finale of a Ramadan program in collaboration with Alboran TV. Nafisat Oyedele reports.
As part of the fulfillment of his campaign promises, the governor of Osun State, Senator Ademola Adeleke, has continued to put smile on the faces of the people of the state. This was displayed at the Osun State Government Ramadan Program 1444 AH, which also marks the grand finale of Al-Burhan TV Ramadan Program 2023 that held at Osun State Broadcasting Corporation premises, Ile-Awiye, Okebale, Oshogbo. The governor, who was represented by the Secretary to the State Government, Alhaji Teslim Igbalaye, described the gesture of the government as a way to show love and make people enjoy the dividends of democracy as part of the preachings of the holy month of Ramadan. He added that the present administration will always bring governors to the grassroots in order to alienate poverty and hardship among the people of the state. Senator Adeleke also promised to continue to help the citizens irrespective of their age, sex, political affiliation, and religion, emphasizing that its aim is to make the state a safe haven for everyone.
The purpose of Ramadan is to preach love within ourselves, our neighbors, brothers and sisters, not only Muslim brothers and sisters, but our neighbors.
In his remarks, the Director General of Osun State Broadcasting Corporation, Alhaji Abdurrashid Folaranmi, who was represented by the Director of Corporate Affairs, Mr. Olushola Bolaji, appreciated the government for its kind gestures towards ensuring the good living of the citizens. Also speaking at the occasion, the chairman of the committee of the program, who doubles as the deputy chief imam of Osun State, Alhaji Maruf Ishola, urged citizens to continue to pray for the success of the present administration, describing Senator Ademola Adeleke as God sent to the people of the state.
ṣé àwọn tí ó kú díẹ̀ káàkó tí wọ́n darí ẹ̀sìn lọ́dẹ ẹni tí ó gba tẹlifíṣàn lọ́dẹ bẹ́ẹ̀ lẹ́kọ̀ọ́ sẹ́ni tí kò ní tẹ̀sán ọ̀dọ́ kí o abẹ́ni tó gba 50 kg lẹ́sìn lọ́dẹ ọdún ìlú àti òtún ìlú.
The program climaxed with distribution of prizes, including bags of rice, refrigerator, television, cash, among other goodies. Some of the beneficiaries of the program include Anima Shaun Yunus, Mahmoud Aminat, among others. In the separate remarks, they appreciated and prayed for Governor Ademola Adeleke for his kind gestures.
To also State Governor, Senator Nuruddin Jackson Ademola Adeleke, I say a very big title to him.
Nafisat Oyedele reporting for OSBC News.
As Muslims all over prepare for the beginning of the Eid al-Fitr, they have been admonished to be patient as leaders of the faith will communicate to them after sighting the Shawwal crescent. Islamic clerics gave the admonition while speaking with OSBC News on their lookout for the Shawwal crescent that serves as the beginning of the Eid al-Fitr. Oluwatobiloba Odunuga has more.
As preparations continue for the celebration of Eid al-Fitr, Muslim leaders are expecting to see the Shawwal crescent either on the 29th or the 30th of the month of Ramadan, which will serve as the beginning of the celebration of Eid al-Fitr. It will be recalled that the Sultan of Sokoto, Sa'ad Abubakar, recently urged Muslims to search for the Shawwal moon from the 29th of the month of Ramadan. According to reports, Shawwal moon is an important celestial event which occurs in the 10th month of the Islamic calendar. Speaking in an interview with OSBC News, a Muslim cleric, Alhaji Sadiq Bello, said citing the Shawwal crescent is important as it is used to determine the beginning of the Eid al-Fitr for Muslims during the holy month.
When we want to start fasting, we have to look for the sighting of the crescent. If it does not appear well for you on that any day, you have to count the former month to make 30 days. Then you can now start. And that's what we are expecting for ending the Ramadan too. That when we want to end Ramadan, we have to look for the moon or crescent of Shawwal.
Alhaji Bello, who enjoined Muslims to be patient, noted that the Sultan of Sokoto, Sa'ad Abubakar, has already set up a committee that comprises of Islamic leaders across the country, starting with the responsibility of sighting the crescent.
We are expecting the information from the committee sighting the moon. These people are picked from each state to form the committee, and they know people to send them when the moon is sighted.
Also speaking on the preparation of Muslim Ummah towards the end of the holy month of Ramadan, Alhaji Muhammadu Kozim enjoined Muslims to engage in Zakat al-Fitr, which he said is a form of charitable giving that is mandatory for Muslims during the holy month of Ramadan.
I expected the Muslims to give out charities, so to correct all the shortcomings, all the wrong deeds that you might have perpetrated during the fasting. So
he added that Zakat al-Fitr is considered to be a means of purifying oneself, and it is an essential component of the fast-breaking celebration known as Eid al-Fitr. Therefore, it is important for Muslims all over to do a lot of zakat before Eid al-Fitr. Oluwatobiloba Odunuga, OSBC News.
Meanwhile, the federal government has declared Friday 21st and Monday 24th of April 2023 as public holidays to mark this year's Eid al-Fitr celebration. A statement signed by the Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Interior, Shuaib Begore, noted that the Minister Ogbeni Rauf Aregbesola made the declaration on behalf of the federal government, while congratulating all Muslims for the successful completion of Ramadan. Ogbeni Aregbesola called on them to imbibe and practice the virtues of kindness, love, tolerance, peace, self-denial, sacrifice, and good neighborliness as exemplified by the Holy Prophet Muhammad. The Governing Board of the Nigerian Immigration Service has served a retirement notice to the Acting Controller General of the service, Issa Idris. The board cited the expiration of the one-year extension of service granted by President Muhammadu Buhari, directing the CGI Major General to hand over to the most senior Deputy Controller General on or before April 24, 2023. It appreciated Idris for his immense contributions to the Nigerian Immigration Service and to the country, and wishes him success in his future endeavors. Residents of Osogbo have been called on to join in the fight against illicit matters, also known as energy theft, that hampers the power distribution company to function as accepted. The Ibadan Electricity Distribution Company, Osun State Regional Head, Engineer Toyin Aderinsoye, made the call at the IBEDC stakeholders meeting and sensitization program held in Osogbo, Osun State. Oluwadamilola Adebayo Jeje has details.
Electricity Distribution Company (IBEDC) enlightened the residents of Osogbo on the dangers of illicit meters, as they have become a major source of concern among the residents, as these meters are used to carry out fraudulent activities in the usage and purchase of energy units. This was discussed at a town hall meeting held in Osogbo. The meeting, which was between the executive of the Osun State unit of the Ibadan Electricity Distribution Company (IBEDC) and customers, took place where opinions and grievances were heard among both parties. Speaking in his welcome address, the Osun State Ibadan Electrical Distribution Company Regional Head, Engineer Toyin Aderinsoye, he called on stakeholders to join them in the fight to wipe out the use of illicit meters and the dangers involved.
It's about sensitizing our people in Osun State about the dangers of illicit meters in our network. These meters consume energy. On our network, the revenue is not coming to us. That's a huge loss to us. So if we can curb this illicit meter, then of course we know that we can plow back this revenue to our own purse, and we can use it to upgrade our network and do other interventions so we can serve our customers better.
In an interview with customers, Mr. Mohammed and Mr. Akinyola, they express their grievances on the services rendered to them, as they are not equivalent to the money paid for.
For the illicit meter, that's PHCM meter. The IBC does not have any authority to cut that meter.
Osun State has an active usage of over 12,000 illicit meters and amounting to over 120 million naira monthly loss for the distribution company. The use of illicit meters still remain a serious hazard to users, as they can cause serious harm to them, and legal punishments still await prosecutors of this activity. Oluwadamilola Adebayo Jeje reporting for Osbc News.
You are welcome to our sports desk. Rivers United will host Young Africans of Tanzania ahead of the first leg of CAF Confederation Cup quarter-final game. David Ojo has more.
Ahead of the first leg of CAF Confederations Cup quarter-final against Nigeria's Rivers United, the Young Africans of Tanzania will depart Dar es Salaam tomorrow. The Tanzanian side reached the quarter-finals of the Confederation Cup after they finished top of their group following their 0-1 away win over TP Mazembe in the final game. They were drawn against Rivers United, with the first leg slated to hold in Nigeria this weekend. After stripping Peru of the hosting rights of the Under-17 World Cup, the World Soccer ruling body is set to name Morocco as host. FIFA has made it clear that the new host will be announced very soon, and Morocco will be the first country to qualify if they get the hosting rights. This year's competition is slated for November 10 to December 2, 2023. In Europe, action will continue tonight in the UEFA Champions League second leg quarter-final matches, as Bayern Munich will slug it out with Manchester City at Allianz Arena, while Inter Milan will lock arms with Benfica for the semi-final ticket of the competition. This is David Ojo reporting for Osbc News.
While on the foreign scene, Switzerland's Attorney General has filed an indictment against the Gambia's former Interior Minister, Ousmane Sonko, for crimes against humanity. Sarah Omidele brings details of this and more.
Sonko is accused of having supported, participated in and failed to prevent systematic and generalized attack as part of a repressive campaign by security forces against Jammeh's opponents. The case is said to be heard by Switzerland's Federal Capital Court at an unspecified date. It will be the country's second ever crimes against trial. In the meantime, Sudan's paramilitary rapid forces moved Egyptian troops that were in Moray Airport when fighting broke out to the capital Khartoum. The RSF said in a statement that Egyptian troops would be handed over to Cairo, with air raids and shell rocking the capital after the failure of a United States-brokered ceasefire. Reports say the fighting has killed at least 270 people and wounded more than 12,600 people. Meanwhile, Russia has launched a drone attack on Ukraine's southern port city of Odessa, but there were no immediate reports of casualties. According to the preliminary information, there were no casualties and measures were being taken to contain the fire units of the state emergency service and other structures were working on the spot. It was gathered that Russia's drone industry has been hit by international sanctions and a number has been shut down since the start of the war, prompting Moscow to import drones from Iran. Sarah Omidele, OSBC News.
And that ends the major report on OSBC TV. It was produced by Michael Adene. I am Olubumi Ajiboye Agbola, wishing you a pleasant evening. Good night.